of you are faith traditions. Sunday is the Sabbath, the day of rest.
We're here as a group representing the major religions of the world, and we're here to support, with our prayers and our thoughts, the global leaders meeting for the COP27 conference right at the moment. We know that they need resources that are more than just human to deal with the crisis that's coming. So we've tried to formulate 10 principles, what we call climate repentance, that is acknowledgement of where we've all as a human.
I don't know more about you. You have some cranim ran TB for people because of honor. Can you see Homa Day? You go evangelist.
I want to say, I saw you draw kind of boom or some a year and yakers or some out of Saka home. Just a me patch as I should do Kunaka and boom. And no matter about say, Yako Jimbra, native me a so. Say a banner to some the Becca and Ransom do. Just of class account, almost a Ransom do. And you know, almost now cry young fat. He said, in there can boom. So, Yako Jimbra, no church of class to me, I said, and yet meet a dream could who say, yeah, almost say, yeah, I've been sacra song. Ajin sakra ba mu de na se boni bi akoso e na ye sakra bi pacho eni no so no me ntino e ma ye ni ko ho ye ni de chiri se osuma ndu akohia na ye ajin sakra ba de a ye so ye kwaje ajin sakra ni bi na bi a
boni kra ya ye ihunu boni ni bi a so ya sakra ya
sa de ni so no ntino o de mo video 10 amazing
okay boni ba ni ya ye ko ho ajin sakra ye ko ho da atwa video 10 production
video 10.
I'd like to greet all the friends assembled here who've come to this event. One of the beautiful things about religion is it teaches you to rise above time. Religion gives us the power to restructure time. And so we are not here now. We are here yesterday. We have just finished the climate assembly. We have just heard about the importance of making all kinds of changes in our lives. The time is now 6 or 7, depending on the time of day yesterday. And we're following up yesterday's assembly with a climate repentance ceremony. What is a climate repentance ceremony? Back in November, at the time of COP27, the Peace Department and Elijah Interfaith Institute brought together a group of religious leaders in order to add a dimension to our climate work, a dimension of touching the heart, touching the soul, engaging in repentance. The idea is very simple. We know what we need to do, but we lack the will. The will is generated by spirituality. And so by turning to the common resources of our religions, we awaken the will to do the right thing. And we do this through a process of repentance. Repentance is a way of revisiting the past, looking to the future, transforming our attitudes, instilling hope. The process of the climate repentance ceremony around COP27 was so significant that we received the invitation from the Parliament to come and to share it with you. And so, as we transcend time, we are both back in November in COP27. We are yesterday. We are looking towards COP28. And more than anything, we are in the present moment.
I don't know more about MC Aquaco video no nti adwen sakra kra se ye sakra free ho it was okay na was say enya new
ai
ne mu yefiri nra
sa sai zanga sa den 1893 and aba wiase and o chem say yaba ye be climate repentance say adwen sakra no o mo se obo brensa kire ya aba no ye be ye mu adwen sakra som and o chem say adwen sakra no aye de ya twamu na ye bu kompo akohwem na fe ye hwe de be badaache na ya ma ya brabo no asesa okirim.
That's right.
Tino adwensakra so be ikoso yɛntoa so na yɛhu deɛ ɔmo kaa wɔ som no kakrakra.
Okay.
Nti yɛma the next time say 2 videos.
Okay, I think the videos 11 and 12.
Yes.
Nti kakrakra video na ɛwa na yɛtwitwa ne esinesini. Nti yɛnkɔnkɔhwɛ 11 and 12.
11, 12.
And turning minds and hearts towards that repentance. I would now like to introduce you to a fundamental feature of our common work. We started around COP27 with the idea of going to Mount Sinai to declare 10 spiritual commandments when COP27 was in Egypt. For a variety of reasons, it took on its particular history. And what was born of the efforts of more than 60 religious leaders and thinkers of different religions are the 10 spiritual principles for climate repentance. Rather than saying, compost, don't drive a car, recycle, etc., we sought to articulate spiritual principles that would give meaning and understanding through a common voice emerging from the wisdom of different religions to a vision for humanity that allows us to engage in the kind of self-transformation that would change us and our attitudes towards the world. And so we will be now reading these 10 spiritual principles, which are both subject for reflection and subject for prayer. So what we will do is the following. We will read each principle in turn in order to not break the flow. The name of the person who is reading the principle is placed at the end. Regrettably, Karma Lekshetsoma is not with us because, well, she is with us, but she's in the hotel room feeling a little unwell. So we've asked one of our friends, Sukhbir Singh, to take her place. So when you see a Sikh instead of a Buddhist nun, you'll know that this is what I'm talking about. And each one will be reading a principle, offering a brief reflection, following which we have a brief ringing of the bell. Do we have the bell? We have the bell. Brief ringing of the bell, a little silence, and then we go on to the next principle, which should conclude with the blowing of the shofar, which is a Jewish instrument for awakening repentance. So I'm not going to invite people by name. We're just going to move through the process of the 10 spiritual principles. Whoever knows, everyone knows his role. So whoever's first, you go first. I'm not going to call on people. It's going to flow.
Creation is not our possession. The human person must recognize this.
Principle number 2. Creation is not simply external to God. It is in significant ways permeated by God's presence and being.
Now to the person without whom I don't think I could continue managing the work of Elijah Interfaith, my close partner and collaborator, Peter Pelach Jones, who will offer a reading that was prepared for us by Rabbi Art Green, who for health reasons wasn't able to attend, and to whom we send from here our prayers and wishes for full recovery.
I will remember my covenant with Jacob, even my covenant with Isaac, even my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. In Leviticus chapter 26, verse 42, God says, and the land will have its desired sabbaticals. We know that when you sin against a fellow human being, you are not forgiven until you appease that person, offer them an apology. Because a transgression against a person actually involves 2 transgressions, 2 sins. One is against God, who commanded you not to oppress. and the other is against the person you harmed. The sin you committed against God by transgressing the commandment may indeed be forgiven by the humbling of your heart, but the sin against the person cannot be forgiven until you seek appeasement directly from the victim. And this is the meaning of, and I will remember the land. The transgression against me, says God, for not having observed the sabbatical will be forgiven when their hearts are contrite. For not having observed the sabbatical, we can get forgiveness from God. But God says, I will call forth the merits of their ancestors, but still I will remember the land. For their sin against the land for not observing the sabbatical, they will need to seek forgiveness from the land. Therefore it says in the following verse, and the land will have its desired Sabbaths. Only after the land is satisfied will our sin be atoned. From Rabbi Uziel Meisels.
Thank you. So we see here very clearly how repentance is relevant to the land, and this is part of what we'll be engaging with a little bit later when our Buddhist sisters take us through a ceremony of repentance in relation to the land, the earth. I'd like
There are reactions when we harm the earth and others. There are reactions when we harm the earth and others. Actions have consequences, and no action can be ignored. The weight of our actions and their short and long-term consequences lead us to find ways of mitigating harmful actions and to work for the good. Therefore, act knowing that every action counts.
Adofo nyama mo akwa babio safe no adwene program na adiyemre program home based TV ne Royal TV and we nigu so a wo hwe no. Na the topic I hwe ne Babylon is fallen part 2. Ena ye hwe akwa videos no. Even man te hwe kram dem te sabbatical land need restaurant and sabbatical almost say
the okay no said the siba TV no so no. Ena omonka brofo be say short screen mo fa say I know anu ena me screenshot mo ena me twa media 2 screen no so no. Wo mo say onyanko omabekotu Leviticus 20 mo so meto so mi say tendo ni say che mo dwuni nan say onyanko pon atwere ho say obekai yeja Jacob, Isaac na Abraham na wakai asasi na wasasa ne yade say asase no bedi ne homeda ona oto aso kiri mu say woye boni etia wo yonko nipa age se wokọ na wopa ne chew ana wo ni siesie ansa na boni fefiri no aba saranso na so woye boni woye sa boni kro no a woye tie wo yonko no aye boni mienu wo che se woye tie nyankopon ka se no yonko so yonko no woye wanti na sem to boni tie nyankopon che se wo che so nyankopon tem na wo che so no yonko no entem mo ene ogina so de kire mu se sanso na ye boni tie asase ya o se yenya asase ne kan nanti ase eba yentem
okay
nanti ase mra yentem no yenka nyankopon so na ehye se me yenya asase no boni enti na asase no boni ye se ye ma asase no eni ne homeda
oh okay
ano mo kan sabatika no mo kan se de 2023 August 14 osuma hudo wi ase ko share o Chicago America o mo kan mo mra nse ndu no omo dia tumran sen du say yen sakra ya dwen say ye ma asase no eni no homeda ya do mo ase
titi asase no homeda so
sa pepe
titi say de yen sakra ya dwen ye ma asase eni no homeda
mo
yo
anuntina the program eni no all can say repentance is relevant to the land and this is part of what we will be engaging with ceremony of repentance in relation to the land. He said ye ma wi ase sakra ya dwen say ye ma asase no enhome mo yedo mo ase papa say de ezi for ga kan nyina no say no kure
that's right
say nim kramofo gitu Buddha Krishna wiase nyina gitu mo say ehun hia say wiase ye kabom ye de
na Nyankopon di si ho ade bwa hyase na eye de to sonson ye na no hira so te eye no kronkron ka say kai homeda na no kronkron o mo se o ye nti ko bi nu abe no enne de o mo twa yuten abenu se say homeda ho hia
eno omo yo som no 14th August last month oswan go do na akohia osom so mo sakra madwen na masem bisa ne se homeda ben ena je so no mo hu se ya to antino ye nse never never sa abon ne nchaye ni sa homeda no so no ye sakra adwen homeda ben ya video se de che ne mra
nti egu so hwehwe wo mo homeda na enya me de no anase wo mo de a bayre ko se wo de production madar my videos 15 and 16 more room for my homeda ben ya.
In what the court described as a clarifying decision, the justices outlined what constitutes an undue hardship under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. That 1964 law requires employers to accommodate the religious practice of their employees unless doing so would impose a, quote, undue hardship on the conduct of the employer's business.
America. Let me close with this. In many of your faith traditions, Sunday is the Sabbath. Day of rest.
Okay, I don't know mamu nyina akwaba ebiu. Eyem se omhomeda no maka ho asema no afedie omapa hontuma evangelist.
No na copy Supreme Court. Grove in Sansam no. Supreme Court aka America. Ena mampani aka omuti mampani badia. O say to many of your faith religions. Sa jide ko ahodo bi ase bibiri no. Kwasiada ene Muhammeda. O mampani aka. Anunti onwa akohia ebo mpa ya sakra ma adwen se kwasiada no aye ni nani kwasiada no ye ma asase no humenu serious sakra ya adwen ye be ma wiase ahome kwasiada
okay
we aye de osum ahodo no akodi atum na eno na bible kire se omoni amanyofo baka bom so mo so de omo ye no omoni United Nations nam
that's right
ehona dwama no wo no na dwama ni se homenda no optwe konkron no enyo no Jehovah Nyankopon bo ade Hebrew for the modifier me Yahweh. Sir, Jehovah, the dinner that so no or boade. And to Homenda no extra son Yankopon the body, and only you know Yankopon Tamis and Chilene.
That's right.
I shall so dear. Oh, I will free one, I know that man Samuel. If Yankopon dinner that's so. Oh, poor, tis so or bar or Bema, I am one day. No Bema dinner at that or bar so. No bano after Bemanachi. I am Dramai.
That's right.
Yankopon the body we are see. Ni din da asase no so se wonu boye na mo wan de free so de akoma kwasi ada no ayo dwaman e hore dwaman sam no wono
that's right
sa ene je America kire wo se no kra ba ko pe na wo wiase o person hu de atwam de wo ho ne de beba kwasi asore o mo kra sa do kra yi ipa so won pe no so mo akochia ba no se o mako hu se wiase bra nyina ne fe mu da ye ni so ye do mo ase shiranka wurade
na even me how ne say we dia fimfima de a be chi wo to prison Udu hona nkwala ebo asichiri ball as medago mo tunya me ho meda mede atore nchem ni musuo eba wiase mo se mo sakra mo adwen a de nipa de asi ho me de nipa de asi ho ayi musuo achiwade no eno no mo asa akofa ewodo ebeba
17